I see a lot of, I was very prepared, but now I feel a little nervous because there are a lot of community group leaders here. So it's not easy to fool them. So my talk is called Give Thy Events a Theme. And basically, like, it's more about how I arrange content for the Berlin user group meeting. My name is Ankit Taneja. I'm a freelancer. I'm based in Berlin. And I've been running community groups for 5 years now. And yeah, I started in 2014. And yeah, we'll talk more about that. So the agenda for today. So I'll just do a small introduction. Then I'll introduce you to the idea of theme. What is a theme? When I say theme, what does it mean? It's like a topic. Why do we need a theme for a user group? Like, why is it? And then how do I go ahead and do it? I'll share some examples, and then we'll have time for some Q&A. Forward-looking statement. These are my experiences. Please take them with a pinch of salt. What worked for me might not work for you. There was some organic stuff. I run a developer group, so my stories are biased to that. So we are a dev group. There's a lot of text in the coming slides because it's bullet points, and I just want to brief up on that. So, and I would use theme, topic, or content interchangeably. So, just so you get the context right. So quickly about myself, I did my master's, and I always wanted to be a scientist. And since we're talking about community, I'm just highlighting this as research because research or science community is very collaborative. Nobody does research on himself. It's a very collaborative environment. There are conferences where scientists go and share, which also I bring along in a little bit like we have the community, So that's how I also see the Salesforce community where we come and share. And I've been working with Salesforce in 2012. I started freelancing in 2015. I moved to Berlin. I specialize in service cloud integrations, but I also involved in like Node.js, IoT, and other communities. How many of you go to any other community meetup? JavaScript? Okay, just like not even 10%. Like, I think you guys should also go to other meetups and see what are they doing and see what we don't have to do. What we don't have to do is more important than what we have to do. And I've come to this, I learned a lot from these communities, So yeah, so attend other things. As I said, I co-lead Berlin since 2014, and I also started a group in Hamburg. But now you're supposed to do only one group, so I chose Berlin. So yeah, content is king. So when we are doing the meetups, or we are doing the meeting, we are arranging for content, right? Presentation, speaker, right? And content can be different things to different people. Like, it can be a blog post, like today's world. It can be a blog post. It can be a podcast. It can be a YouTube video. So, we talk about content. So that's what we want to do, right? This is what we're looking for. So I'll quickly just, to set the stage, ask question. How do you guys, anyone would like to share, how do you prepare for your next meetup? Like when you're arranging a meeting, how do you do that? What do you think? Yeah?
Well, we usually use our first meetup in the year to ask our audience what are topics you're interested in. Okay, so
nice.
Hi. So what we do in our initial session every year is ask our members what are the topics you're interested in.
Yeah.
We talk to each individual member and make a few notes of topics, and then we go out finding people who could cover those topics.
Very good. So we do the same thing. That's nice. Anybody else? Yeah.
We are asking every...
Wait. No. I'm sorry, who's speaking?
Okay.
There you go.
So we are trying just to ask people every time after every meetup and to ask what is new Salesforce announced, what they would like to hear, and if somebody can cover something, if there are some real project case and so on. But
yeah.
Sometimes it's difficult, but someone really wants to share,
Cool. So that's nice. So I don't have, one slide is gone. Okay, so this is the same thing. So when I try to do a meetup in Berlin, I try to think of a topic or of a theme, because we can have content and people can talk about it, but I like to have it as a cohesive environment or cohesive show where everybody gets like something in some part. So what is a theme? When I say themes, it can be any facet of Salesforce, So we pick up a theme and we say, okay, it can be Salesforce platform, it can be Service Cloud, it can be IoT. You just take one topic and then you try to go ahead and, like people can say, hey, I want help with Marketing Cloud, and the other one can say, hey, I want help with, setting up of cases or Service Cloud. So rather than having two talks, which are quite far apart, I try to think of a topic, and then go ahead and try to arrange a speaker for that. So first theme, and then comes content. So we pick a theme, what do we want to talk about? Is it Heroku or stuff? And then when we have Heroku, you can talk 1,000 things about Service Cloud, right? It's not just like one Service Cloud thing. So we pick up a theme, and then it comes the idea, is it going to be a presentation? Is it going to be a point and click demo? Live code. So at the Berlin group, we have a very hard limit that there has to be code. Like, you need to have code. We don't like point and click stuff. It is as it is. We are developers, and it's like hardcore. So, and it's brownie points if you have attendee participation. So if you have something where the people have to interact and do something together with you, then it's more appreciated. Again, must have a connect with the audience. I'm kind of repeating myself, so it's a developer group. We want to have something like that. Like if you made the nice, I'll not go there. So if you did some nice flows and stuff, that's fine, good. But this is a group. Again, this can go for the developer group, but it might not work for your groups.
Well, because we do exactly the opposite. Do not bring any of your
Which is
crappy
good.
old black I like it. I think it's good.
Yeah, so we have our own audiences, right? I don't go to the user group meetings because I don't click with those people, right? But there are other people who click with that. So why do we need theme? Yeah, why? But it's the sugar. So Salesforce provides all of us budget, right? That's for pizza and the beer. But it's like the sugar. If you have a good theme or a good topic, it will entice more attendees, And that's like, you want to have people. So if you have a nice agenda, and let's say I'm talking about Heroku one evening, then it will invite people, okay, there's going to be something about Heroku. So then again, people come for content and they stay for connection. We have been there, we met someone and we just clicked and and then business has happened, not happened, that's not the important part. You're like, okay, I'm going to work on some projects. I've met so many wonderful people just as these meetings, So yeah, time is money again. So if you don't have good content, why would somebody come to you? And yeah, if there's nothing to learn. Also, I think if you have a theme, it brings everyone on the same page, so it kind of builds a base and everybody knows what to expect. Like if I'm going to this meetup, this is going to be about Heroku, and if I'm not working with that, I don't care. So we like to have the crowd who knows what is coming, and then everybody's kind of involved in that. Yeah, and if you won't have any topic or meeting, like if you would have content, then they turn into a fish market. I mean, okay, what I want to say is then it's like people looking for contracts and giving up contracts and looking for work, which is a good thing. We all work and career and everything is right, but it's a developer meeting. It's about sharing, and if you don't have that and there's free booze, it's like, yeah, let's just, it goes into a business, which is not the whole idea about it. So to just give you an idea, like before I started, how do I go ahead and do it? The idea is you choose a topic, and how do we choose the topic is exactly like that. In the crowd, we ask people if somebody has a problem or an issue, and then they can say, and somebody in the crowd automatically promotes it. And to have a topic, and then I try to go ahead and find also a host. So if there's Service Cloud, I will try to, because the community is not that big, like in your pretty much city who's doing what. So if I think of like Service Cloud or Marketing Cloud, then I know, okay, whom do I have to approach to show it? So the idea is you get a theme and then try to get a host who also has like expertise in the same thing, like in the same topic, and then try to find the speakers for that. So again, how do we do it? It's very open floor for ideas in the end, and everybody kind of joins it. It's very democratic, so people might think that, might be a lot of disturbances, but normally it's very peaceful. Then at the end of one, we decide for we're having an earthquake. So, wow, it was so good talk, you're shaking. So once you have the topic, you look for a speaker or a host who match the idea. So once you find a host, you automatically kind of find a speaker because they would have someone who would have knowledge in that, and would share that. Yeah, if the community is engaging, again, this happens organically, like usually. So in Berlin, how this started was we were 4 people, and we started and we were just asking each other, hey, what do we want to do next? And somebody would say, okay, I've done it before. And kind of the group grew very organically. From 4, we became 6, we became 8, 15, 20. Now we are a solid 40 people, but that kind of stayed back, and it just happens organically. And again, if a host is saying, there was you from New Zealand, I'm sorry I forgot your name, but you were talking about like the partners are not allowed to pitch their product, but they have to rather do the thing. And I think if the host is giving us the place and budget and everything, it's okay if they subtly pitch their product. Like I'm fine with that, and you know, because also, if, like in Berlin, there's a shortage of recruiters, and sorry, not recruiters, shortage of there's a shortage of talent. And that's why it's okay, because I've seen people change jobs and it's good. Everybody, and they're still in the same community, so they switch jobs, but they're still shaking hands, right? So, again, how to do it? So one of the things is to share ideas, which I've also discussed with people, is like some of the people don't feel confident to share that what they need help in, and especially because with the beginners who are new. And it's your job to make them comfortable that, you know, they can say, hey, I don't know about this, because now Salesforce has grown into a mature technology, like we are seasoned people, and some people should, like, you know, and it's the beginners who need the more, you know, let's say help or support, and then you can just, so everybody is welcome. We try to create a very safe space, and also everybody introduces themselves with an adjective, but that has to do Salesforce. So, again, less is more, so we would rather do one big presentations or two short presentations, like do 20 minutes or do 40 minutes, so there's also time for interacting with each other. Yeah, again, for dev presentations, there should be some code, live code preferred. Again, this is my group,
Yeah.
this is just this. Presentations are more like conversations, so you're allowed to raise hand and ask questions. So that's why the 20 minutes end up being 40 minutes, and 40 minutes, it's like, it just goes on. So it's okay, we allow it to be a conversation. People are always allowed to raise questions, and you know, by the way, you guys can also ask a question if you have one. And again, now these discussions are good. Now it's a bunch of developers, yeah, and they're hanging out. And sometimes we had a talk about clean code and naming. So I like to call it accounts before update. Somebody calls it before updated accounts or whatever. And then the discussion goes in this way. In this way, you have, and when that happens, you have to kind of take charge and be like, hey guys, so that also the meetings kind of achieve their point of, you know, like having the discussion and not just like having wasted all the time about talking about tiny things, which add more opinions rather than, you know, like something more technological. So far so good?
What do you mean, remove the business role before you enter? I like the idea, but what do you mean?
Okay, yeah. So basically it's a developer group, and we don't want to do business over there, so we want to talk code, and you know, you're allowed to curse, if you may, it's Berlin. So it's more like you don't represent your company over there, but you just come as developers. So I come as Ankit, and he would come as Christian, and we are not bringing the brand or the company with us, you know, because sometimes, yeah, people bring their work problems and they expect them to be solved, and that we don't want, you know. So, yeah, some of the examples that this has worked for us is Thermondo is a heating company. They're doing like IoT-based heaters. They're big on Heroku. Their CTO loves Heroku. So we did like a Heroku meetup over there. So it was advanced introduction to Heroku, and then they showed us how they use it. So then Twilio, we did APIs. Everybody knows Twilio? Yeah, it's a messaging company. So they have a managed package on Salesforce, and we did 2 talks like Twilio for Salesforce and tooling, metadata, and API do's and don'ts. So it was more API focused, like, you know, then the idea was, okay, we're just talking about APIs today. And then was Mason Frank. Everybody knows, who doesn't know Mason Frank? Who doesn't? Yeah. So Mason Frank was, I just have to quickly, I'm running short of time. Mason Frank was behind me to do like, they want to do a meetup, and they will sponsor drinks and everything. And I was like, I know what this is. This is like, you know, they want to fish. And I was like, no, this is not what we do. And, you know, but then I said, okay, if you want to do this, then go ahead and talk about, so make positive with their implementation. So they showed us how they are using Salesforce for recruiting to Salesforce, for recruiting for Salesforce. So that was the idea. And a lot of people had been asking about me about freelancing. So I just did, okay, what is freelancing in Salesforce world? How do you do it? How do you get the whole idea? So yeah, so that was most about it. So basically, I hope you guys get it. It's like getting an idea. Okay, this is what we want to talk about, and then trying to find a host who's like specializing in that. And yeah, then you have, but you find usually a speaker, and then somebody in the crowd, like if you have a nice, vibrant community, then comes up and says, okay. So my idea is also like, at the end of the day, everybody has a nugget to take home about some particular thing. They're like, oh yeah, today I learned that about this particular topic. And lastly, we not only just have group meetings, but we also go to the Christmas market together. So our community is not just like in Berlin, we are very solid people, and this was a December meetup. There was no code at all. Everybody was invited.
What
So
were
there was
the
a-
clicks though?
I beg your pardon?
Did you have clicks though?
Clicks.
Well, the glass.
And lastly, what I also do is, so these are the German group leaders, you might find them here. And we also do web calls together and share notes, like we just talk like every 3 to 4 weeks and just share notes, what the other one did and what the other one did not, and you know, what worked and what did not work. Thank you, questions?
Yeah.
So I like what you're saying about sort of sourcing hosts and sourcing topics.
Mm-hmm.
How would you approach that for community groups that are outside of big cities? So you're Berlin.
Mm-hmm.
I go to the London community groups,
Mm-hmm.
but I run a community group that's outside of London. We
Mhm.
haven't got the big companies. We haven't got the big venues. What tips would you give for keeping those groups future?
Sure. So in Berlin also, when we initially started, I don't know if you have co-working spaces or not. So we have the budget when you run a community group, and then you can find a co-working space, and you don't have to be dependent on anyone. So you just find a co-working space, you can rent that place, and then the topic and everything, since you are small, it must be much easier. It would be easier to just ask the people, hey guys, what do you want to talk about? If you have very different topics, then keep the topic for the next meetup. So let's say you get 3 topics and 2 are, then you can say, okay, we're going to do this and this, and the other one we're going to keep it for like the next one. It doesn't has to be everything has to happen. Like my meetups are planned until the end of the year because we got so many requests, and now it's easy for me too because I know what is coming in the next 2 months and 3 months. And if somebody falls out, you have a backup. So, but
Yeah, the challenge there isn't picking the topics.
Mhm.
It's being a smaller group in a smaller area, finding somebody to talk about those topics.
Yeah.
That's the challenge.
I mean, okay, that's. Then I'm in Berlin. You should invite people from London. Like here, I think London has a lot of people who can talk. Sure, right? And
Mostly Amanda.
no, but I mean, Amnon is there, Chris is there. There's so many people. I can count them. Like.
It's not just London in the UK.
Okay. Yeah.
Other smaller cities. Yeah. Actually. I'll come to your 2 places fine. Neil?
Cease to?
You can speak
Yeah.
what time you're there, and then it is in your.
I'll do that.
Okay, maybe answering to you, Rob, what do I do as a small community? So I'm a developer group leader in Munich for 4 years by now and so on, and even in a big city like Munich, we just talked about it yesterday, we don't get the information who's doing what with Salesforce, so this information is closed. So we started out with very, very few people. Now we've grown constantly, we've got around. But what I always do is reach out into Ohana, which is also my second best option, but I take it often enough, is reach out into Ohana, can you do a remote talk? And remote talk shouldn't be too long because it's strenuous, you need to set up communication and questions going forth and back, and everybody needs to hear everything, so it's a little bit of tech setup. But nonetheless, that's what we do in any case. We reach out to product managers, we reach out to MVPs, we reach out to friends and families to say, are you available? I know you did a talk on, would you be available to do a short version of for that remotely? Remotely, we just had Stefan Schissel from Salesforce from Indonesia, like 11
Singapore.
Singapore, thank you. 11 hours time difference, and he did a presentation on Salesforce in Node-RED. And that's how we got experts on topics, and they're remotely. Okay, but that's, I think, a fair price.
That's a really good idea. Thanks.
Yeah, I just can add that in Amsterdam we invited David Liu remotely, and it was one of our most successful sessions, and we do it often. So it's one way of getting anyone from ecosystem from any place, and usually people just need to adjust time zones.
Okay.
And an important factor is have good setup.
Yeah,
Good audio, good video.
that's what I wanted to say.
Because if it's,
Before you get into a conversation, let's keep the questions, because we're trying to record this, and I need the mic to capture your voice. I've got a question here, and then other people, please raise your hand.
Okay, well this wasn't a question, it was sort of leading on from that a bit. So I'm a pretty new MVP, but you may not be aware, but there is sort of travel budget for MVPs to come to other areas. So this is, I don't know a lot about it myself at the moment, but I do know that leading a group in Wellington, I do get often MVPs, if they're planning some travel in New Zealand, will reach out to me and say, hey, can I come and present? Because they will get some funding to do so. I'm not sure if there's a really good forum, is there, Louise, for actually that interaction in terms of you know, your group wanting people to come in?
So yeah, there is a quick document somewhere that is surprise, that lists that I know that we've reached out internally in groups to say, if you are willing to travel and speak, then put your sort of topics here and where you are willing to do it remotely, or where you can virtually, or where you can travel to. And yeah, there is that stipend. I mean, each group can use it twice a year, and obviously there's limitations on what it covers. But yeah, as a user group leader, or community group leader, sorry, we can all twice a year call upon an MVP and be able to say to them, you can have you can expense $500. So that can sometimes help if people are traveling a bit further.
And speaking as an MVP, I know there are a lot of MVPs who want those opportunities, and the problem has always been the lack of a conduit. And there was a project started a while ago by the presenter group of the MVPs, Phil Weinmeister, I think, and unfortunately it lost traction because supposedly there was going to be a new website started. Do you know anything about
No, I think it's a quick doc at the moment.
It's just a quick doc. Yeah, after 3 years, it's still just a quick doc. But perhaps a conversation with Jessica might be in order.
And actually, can I add, I think, keeping with Ankit's suggestion or recommendation of that you pick the topic and then find the speaker, which personally I've found the speaker and then that's dictated the topic. And I think that's the point of the presentation. And in my mind now, I'm thinking about that a bit more. And so if you write out the topics that you want to cover in your group, but then you could start to think, well, who are those people? And I can reach out to them. Yeah,
exactly.
And you can know, like, hang on, you know, we can feel, you know, he's not that far away, and sometimes you might catch him when he's having a meeting in South London, Rob, and then he can jump on a train to Kent and things like that. But I think that's my takeaway from your session. This session is like how you approach the content. Get the list of the subjects you want to cover first, and then fill in the blanks. And that might mean that in January you can do one from the top and one from the bottom because they're the speakers that are available.
And also finding the host too, so that they can show their skills, because it has also ended up in business. So if we are saying marketing cloud implementation, you just float the line around, and then a company, when they're showing their skills, I mean, they're showing they can do it, and there are people who are attending, and next time in their company, they will say, hey, we should do that. They're like, oh, I know these guys, they did it over there. So it's a win-win situation for everyone. My idea is when the content is there, and you have a topic, then the best guys who can do the job for that particular topic, they should be doing that, you know. That's
last question. But I would also encourage people from your group not only to focus on expert talks. So I would really encourage people from your group say if someone has to share something, it doesn't matter. He has not to be an expert. We also had guys just showing a use case, what they figured out, what problems they're facing, because you're starting a discussion around, and then you figure out, hey, this guy has also an opinion, is opinionated in that certain area, and so that could also be the most important thing for us is when someone is presenting, he just has fun to present, and he's eager to share his knowledge, and it doesn't matter if he is an expert. And so I think it's always a good mixture to have experts really having, you know, focusing on a certain topic, but also have people from your community to really share and grow the community, because then you're starting communication, you're starting building your network, and I think this is also a very important part, especially if you're smaller. Just try to encourage the people what they know. Everyone knows something. So.
It's
Okay.
1 and 1, so there are always 2 talks, and it's one like who's like, you know, somebody that, and the other one, of course, there are people locally who are doing that. Yeah, I guess that's my time. I want to thank YeurLeadin. Thank you to YeurLeadin and YeurDreaming for letting me. And yeah, I have my girlfriend here. She's first time attending my talk. She would never come in Berlin.